This is the Specialized Tarmac SL8, and this is the Canyon Ultimate CFR. Both are all-round race bikes equally aimed at conquering the toughest races on the World Tour, as well as offering the best all-round racy performance for us mere mortals. But which is best? Or perhaps more importantly, which one is best for you? That's what we're here to find out. Before I go any further though, if these kinds of videos are right up your street, give that little bell icon a click so you don't miss any in the future. These are so-called all-round race bikes designed to excel anywhere. Both are underpinned by more affordable models and both have similar racy silhouettes. Turn up at your local club ride and your friends are going to know that you're riding one of the most covetable bikes in the world. But already it's clear that each goes about it a little differently. One might be considered a true all-rounder, the other a little more focused. The Tarmac SL8 is the only road race bike Specialized makes, tying aero and lightweight into one package. Not since the Venge has it had a dedicated aero bike. The Canyon Ultimate, on the other hand, is a little more focused on the lightweight side of things, given it's got Mathieu van der Poel's favoured bike, the Aero, kicking around as well. While many people should arguably be looking towards bikes like the less aggressive Roubaix SL8 or Endurace as the best bike for them, there's no denying the enduring law of a full-blooded race bike. This latest Canyon Ultimate, when it launched, came with the claim that it achieved the perfect balance of ride quality, aero performance, weight and stiffness, and so on. Essentially, the German brand chose evolution over revolution. A 5-watt improvement at 45 km an hour was claimed thanks to an aero overhaul, plus the inclusion of the one-piece aero cockpit. The head tube was stiffened up by around 15%, the distribution of carbon slightly modified to improve strength, while the seat post was also changed. This year, Specialized did something very similar. It too chose evolution and purposefully split the tarmac into two zones. At the front, where there's cleaner airflow, it brought in a one-piece carbon cockpit, like Canyon, kept the bladed fork profiles and deepened the head tube with what it euphemistically calls the speed sniffer. Love it or hate it, personally, I don't really mind. Specialized says it let it keep the geometry exactly the same compared to the Tarmac SL7, save for an extra 10mm stack that's required to fit the new cockpit. In the areas where there's more turbulent airflow, Specialized looked to the Athos lightweight bike for inspiration. The tubes that sit behind the front-facing edges are rounder than they used to be on the Tarmac SL7, which Spec says makes them more efficient at carrying forces, which in turn allowed it to cut unnecessary weight. Overall, it says that the Tarmac SL8 is faster than the Venge, which it says is the fastest road bike it had ever made before this, and reckons it would save a pro rider 2 minutes and 8 seconds at Milan-San Remo compared to riding a Tarmac SL7. Now, these claims from both brands are all well and good, but it's always worth remembering that typical riders like you and me don't tend to ride at 45 km an hour very often, or do Milan-San Remo at pro speeds. So, if you already own a previous generation Ultimate or Tarmac SL7, the differences in speed in the real world will be slight at best. When it comes to frame weight, an S-Works Tarmac SL8 weighs a claimed 685 grams in a size 56. An Ultimate CFR frame, by comparison, is said to weigh 762 grams in a size medium. That might feel like comparing apples and pears, but even given the Ultimate sizes up a little larger than the Tarmac SL8, the Specialized certainly looks to have the edge here. As spec'd here, both come with Shimano's top-level Dura-Ace Di2 R9200 groupset, although both can also be had with SRAM Red ETAP Axis drivetrains. Canyon also makes one model of the Ultimate CFR with Campagnolo's latest Super Record wireless groupset too. For these specific bikes, there are two groupset differences to note. The Tarmac has a 4-eyes dual-sided power meter crankset, while this Ultimate is normally spec'd with a Shimano Dura-Ace power meter. That said, supply being what it was when I first rode the Ultimate CFR last year, this particular example hasn't got it fitted. Aside from that, Canyon doesn't have the latest CL900 rotors fitted here for similar reasons. But this is a rolling change. The new Aero spec'd version of this bike, which was announced more recently, does have them. On that, this particular Ultimate CFR has DT Swiss 1100 PRC die-cut Mon Chasseral wheels. Try saying that 5 times fast, which weigh in at 1,266 grams, making this a more climbing-oriented specification. That's not the only exotic component on the Canyon. The tyres are very lightweight and very racy Schwalbe Pro 1 TT Evos, 25mm all round. It's unusual to see such tyres on a stock build like this, and is perhaps something I'd look to change, but more on that to come. And the Selle Italia C59 saddle is, well, just look at it. There's no excess here. The rest of the build comes from Canyon, with an inline D-shaped carbon seat post and the width adjustable Aero cockpit that made its debut on the Aero. The Tarmac, on the other hand, comes with parts exclusively from the Specialized family. Those are Roval Rapide CLX2 wheels with a wider, shallower profile up front and a deeper, narrower shape at the rear, which is intended to achieve a blend of ride stability and aero performance. They're wrapped in 26mm S-Works Turbo Rapid Air 2BR tubeless ready tyres. The narrow seat post is bespoke to the Tarmac, while, as I've said, the front is festooned with the latest Roval Rapide cockpit. For all intents and purposes, it's the same kind of build the likes of Remco Evenepoel and Julien Alaphilippe ride. So I'll just wait for my pro contract then. All of this comes together to form two prices, of course. The Specialized S-Works Tarmac SL8 costs £12,000 or $14,000, and this Canyon Ultimate CFR, £9,499 or $9,499. $2,500 shouldn't be sniffed at, even at this rarefied level. So how do these two specific bikes compare on the road? Both bikes bring enviable handling qualities and ride confidence. The Specialized is slightly lower slung and offers a slightly more aggressive ride position, which means the Ultimate could be the better bet if you find that kind of thing uncomfortable. That said, both deliver sharp handling without feeling nervous. Responses are predictable and both produce feedback that breeds that all-important confidence in the overall ride. Both have the stiffness to lap up hard efforts and neither give the sense of wasting any effort. And each gives the ability to carve a confident line on a descent. Frankly, it comes as no surprise to me that both are evolutions on already highly regarded bikes. There are some differences though. First off, there's no doubt the S-Works Tarmac SL8 feels like the faster bike of the two when the road is flat. Now, needless to say, we don't have our own wind tunnel to see what the difference is in black and white. But the more pronounced Aero tube shapes could be delivering some benefit to overall speed. The wheels are probably having even more of an impact here though. I've also ridden the Ultimate CFR with comparably deep rims to the Rovals, and that significantly closes the gap for sure. When you climb a long shallow gradient, say between 4 and 5%, the Tarmac is still probably the faster of the two. But then that pendulum swings when the gradient gets steeper and the climb longer. The climbing specific wheels on this Ultimate CFR are really coming to their own here. They whip around with ease when out of the saddle. Another benefit to the shallower rim is that they feel more stable if there's wind about. If you're a lighter rider who's not used to deeper aero wheels, this might be something to consider. That's not to say that the Tarmac's Roval wheels are somehow overly susceptible to crosswinds, but there's always a balance to be struck between the aero performance you get from those deeper rims and the stability to be had from shallower ones. In any case, it's worth remembering that there's a more aero-oriented build available for the Ultimate CFR, priced exactly the same. With the S-Works Tarmac SL8, aside from opting between Shimano and SRAM drivetrains, you'll be stuck with the Rapide CLX2 wheels. You can check out Simon's great video where he tested aero and climbing wheels, just follow the link above. Overall, both bikes tackle road buzz well, although I don't think the tyre choices make the most of the bike's potential. The 25mm Schwalbe Pro 1 TT tyres on the Canyon are great for a perfect day in the Alps, but aren't wide or sturdy enough for the kind of road surfaces the vast majority of us will expose them to. At least, not without higher risk of punctures. I've been fortunate to avoid flatting on my test rides, but the lack of puncture protection remains a concern to me. The same story is true of the 26mm S-Works tyres on the Specialized, albeit they're a little more well-rounded in their construction. To be honest though, I'd look to upgrade both to 28mm wide tyres. My pick would be something like Continental GP5000 STR or Pirelli P0 Race TLRs, and take the benefit of increased tyre volume over any small or rolling resistance benefit you might be getting from the narrower stock tyres. If you haven't seen it already, I recommend you check out another great video from Simon from when we put the current latest fast road bike tyres to the test. Anyway, back to these bikes. Which is best? I'll preface this by saying that it's a bit like asking me to choose my favourite wine. It all comes down to preference and how the bike matches with the riding that you like to do. In these builds, I think the Specialized S-Works Tarmac SL8 is certainly the more race-ready and rounded of the two, and probably the faster overall. Having said that, this particular Ultimate CFR can bite back with outstanding climbing on steeper ascents, while the slightly more accommodating ride position should be acknowledged. I mean, I know plenty of people who would happily choose those characteristics. Plus, it's £2,500 or $2,500 cheaper, and it's also worth bearing in mind that there's an option of an equivalent spec just with a deeper wheel set at the same price. What would I buy if I had the money? That price difference is hard to ignore, so I'd probably spend my own money on the Ultimate and add a deeper wheel set on top. What do you think though? Would you opt for the S-Works Tarmac SL8 or the Ultimate CFR? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and let us know what our next head-to-head should be. See you next time. Now, I need to decide which one of these I'm going to ride home.